Hello and welcome to Blog Tornado. How are you? And today we're going to talk about Bob Lazar again. As you know, Bob Lazar is the guy on this channel and my type of guy. And we're going to talk more about him, of course. And let's try to understand what's going on in our reality with this story of his. What's the difference between, as you can see from a title, between imagination, creativity, and reality, which a lot of us can't really distinguish between anymore. And that's the reason I'm trying to make this video today. So please stay with me a little bit longer to understand what's going on. And we're starting right now. So, Bob Lazar, well, the thing is, it's quite simple because, again, by the way, those who are new, just like to thank you to come across my channel. I really appreciate that. And I certainly hope that you find some of my videos interesting for what's it worth. So, thank you again. But anyways, let's move further into Bob Lazar's, probe his mind a bit here and see if we can try to get something out of his story. But I'll tell you what, look, what's really, at least to me, not fair here, and what I think is kinda ridiculous, as a matter of fact, is that is the justice factor. It's somebody, a movie star versus Bob Lazar, as you can see from a title, that someone who is very creative, as a matter of fact, and talks about the same subjects as Bob Lazar, is rather more famous than someone who actually seen the UFOs. Okay, that's the mind-boggling part here. And we're simply absorbing these stories, these made-up stories, like a sponge. They know how to hook our brains, with these special effects or whatnot. But it's a false reality, and they open up a door, like I talked about before, of false reality, of something that is not true. But it does open up a door in our mind, and this whole view, perspective on aliens, such as Prometheus, aliens, the way they they are portrayed, is blurring the lines between reality here and the truth. It's sad to see, extremely sad to see, in my opinion, too, that such stories, such as, which to me, they're not really stories, really. This is not, a Goodwill Hunting type of story in Star Wars. Star Wars are just a drama with basic story in them, but they have some kind of, spirit that it's hard to say that it is not good. It's a drama of some sort with a lot of special effects, and it's hard to explain why we like it so much. But what I don't understand is that regarding Bob Lazar, is that this man, there's no such thing as Bob Lazar, episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, episode 9. and so on. It's not a money-making machine in any shape or form. I mean, Bob Lazar is not making movies out of his to profit in any kind of way. I mean, it's he doesn't have his own figurines like Star Wars. He doesn't have his own merchandise of any kind, and the only thing that he has, it's his business, United Nuclear. And you can't go up to George Lucas and ask, can I have some plutonium, right? But if you go to Bob Lazar, he certainly can provide that for you. But there is no such thing as merchandise or anything like that, that would make Bob Lazar feed off his story, to pocket, to profit from. And that's just the sad part about his situation, in my opinion. The man got opportunity, but the question to walk inside the UFO. But the question really is, like, how many more people at S4 has stepped inside these UFOs? Like Barney and Betty Hill's story. Travis Walton, Calvin Parker, all these people have seen the actual extraterrestrials face to face, supposedly. That's the mystery. But the fact that Star Wars movie is a lot more famous kind of shows the type of society that we live in a way. We live in some sort of entertainment society where this, but that's all good in a way. However, we're completely disconnected from the actual reality of the future. Like I explained before, it's going on in real time, people. The future is not what's coming down the road towards us, like I said before. It's actually what's happening out there. The future is out there. And what do I mean by that? Well, there were extraterrestrial life forms for sure before our own evolution, and they didn't just die off, okay? They still exist. That's why all of this alien abduction stories and Bob Lazar's story including tell us that they are out there as we speak right now. And that's the technology, the evolution that is superior out there in the universe. But there is an extraterrestrial race out there at the forefront, which rules them all, okay? And but it's going on in real time as we speak, okay? Anybody who have seen something strange in the sky, I've seen orbs. You can read more about it at blogtornado.com. In UFO section, there's UFO and orb article I wrote, and I explain a little bit about what's happened to me, just to put it on a record. But this kind of orb situations are very common around the world these days, and who hasn't seen them yet? If you haven't seen them, check them out on YouTube. They are real. But the reason I brag about it a lot and why I talk about it so much, I mean, if you don't think that's strange in any kind of way, well, I think it is. It just, like that is it turns our reality upside down and makes it look like a sci-fi movie, as I said before, okay? It's strange to see those things. Not just that, but they have some sort of intelligence. They fly in a symmetrical patterns without making any noise. They're very quiet, and they are thinking, okay? They're not moving like flies or something, okay, in a random patterns. They're actually moving in straight formations, which a little bit resembles our drones. But when I seen this phenomena happen so long ago that we don't even know what drones were those days, okay? So this is certainly some sort of entity that is just mind-boggling to me, and we have to raise the awareness here, people. I don't know. I know you just come across this video and you just move forward onto whatever channel, but keep that in mind if you do, okay? Because we have to keep awareness of what the heck are these things. What is happening? Are we being given some sort of drones to look after us? Is this some sort of a experiment or some sort of a ground that was artificially created? I mean, I wouldn't say that at all, but the fact that these things are just kind of flying around, and it seems to me they are watching us, like I explained about the Illuminati symbol on a $1 bill, the all-seeing eye hovering in the air, called Illuminati and all that, sort of kind of ties in. I'm not saying it does. Some people obviously don't see it that way, but what is the mystery behind this force, of this orbs, is the question here, because I don't know. I mean, I can talk about this forever, because it's just something that, once you lock onto it and you've seen it with your own eyes, you will understand what I mean, okay? And anyone who has seen a flying saucer, extraterrestrials themselves, simply understands what I'm talking about here, okay? Dr. Stephen Greer would agree with me. He's seen these orbs. He actually takes people to sightseeing these orbs flying in the sky somewhere, wherever he goes. It's what's mind-boggling here, okay? He can actually find them, and they're real. I mean, but what are they is the question, man. This is some sort of a higher intelligence here that we're talking about. I mean, anything that can take off in a split second in such fast way. I mean, it tells you this is not a moped, right? They're driving. It's something else. It's super fast that we can't understand. But going back to Bob Lazar, and again, as I was saying, Star Wars. Star Wars is Star Wars. I have no problem with Star Wars. Okay, Star Wars. We know how popular Star Wars is, right? And what really surprising about it is that more people believe in Star Wars, and including me, as you can see, are following this instead of Bob Lazar. I mean, again, he's not making merchandise, he's not profiting off his story. God forbid he made a documentary with Jeremy Corbell. A lot of people don't like it. Well, I mean, there you go. I mean, he's not making episode 2, if that's what you expected. He didn't make an episode 2. And he's always going to be about episode 1. But listen to this. There's something else here. If you follow him on Art Bell show, okay, he mentioned particularly there's some things that he will never say to the public, and it's going to stay that way, something along those lines. But that's what he meant. And there is extra information, you see. That is the beautiful part here. I hope he doesn't tell us one day on his deathbed, all those 9 UFOs were actually US prototypes, military UFO prototypes they were working on, or something like that. Because if he does tell us this now, he obviously, is gonna shoot himself in the foot, and put his life in danger. People are not going to like to hear that. But the fact that, US military could have been working on a UFO prototype, it's a possibility, because there are footages of some kind of UFO on the wheels, actually, and some scientist around this craft that looks like a UFO to me. But what is it exactly? Is that authentic or it's man-made? But the reason I'm saying all this is the tricky thing. Listen up. Follow me a little bit longer, please. And what really happens here is he talked about this. Why would they be all different shapes? Okay, you make that decision. Obviously, for aerodynamics, right? They need to kind of make few of them to see which one is best for, as far as aerodynamics are concerned. And that would make sense. Why would they all be different shapes? Okay, that's the logical explanation, right, to me, because the quantity there, 9 of them, it's a ridiculous quantity, okay? Unless it's been given to us because they know we're gonna blow ourselves up and we can use them as escape pods or some sort, or something's coming from space. But asteroid or something. But the fact is, 9 is a little bit too much, it's just ridiculous. So you have to kind of look at it in a logical way. And that's the thing that Bob Lazar, you can't touch him there at all, because he said he just went by the bay door and he saw, and he peeked inside and he only saw this once or twice, I believe, but he saw 9, right? And that was it. So we can't really touch him on that, but we can imagine, we can draw our own conclusions to this, okay, without Bob Lazar. So I'm thinking could be that they were different shapes because they were different prototypes. Even Bob Lazar doesn't know that, okay? He only saw one that he was working on, not all 9. So, I could be right in the situation. Who knows? But the fact that he said, and I'll back it up even further, so please stay with me a little bit longer. I know you can do it. Listen. He said... By the way, I love this Star Wars figurines. It's my Jabba the Hutt. Got it at Walmart one day, and I thought I have to pick this up because of this beautiful casing. You see how that works? Contradictions. Talking about Bob Lazar and talking about Star Wars, and then this comes up. But what I'm trying to tell you, he said himself that this kind of technology cannot be replicated in any shape or form, okay? Now, that is somewhat logical because this technology is from outer space, you understand? Thousands of years probably ahead of our evolution. And again, like I talked about it before, I don't even know how the scientists were able to fly that thing. I mean, it's difficult to get into the car these days, never mind into this UFO technology that's thousands of years ahead of our time. So I'm thinking how the hell it's even possible to fly it. You're definitely not going to have a fingerprint to match the start button there in that UFO, or however it works. But that was strange to me, so that's why I made that video previously. Did Bob Lazar go too far? As I was saying, we cannot replicate this kind of technology, which makes sense, and that's why anybody that thinks that US has able to replicate it, they can't replicate it. They possibly could try to somewhat recreate it to the best of their ability, but replicating something that is able to contain antimatter is not for us to decode yet, okay? It's just too early in our evolution. But I do talk about this in Bob Lazar and Evolutionary Boost video that I made, how this technology could have some sort of negative impact on our evolution because it's been injected into our evolution like some sort of steroids, and you'll definitely see the abnormal growth somewhere down the road sooner or later that it's been the consequences of all this UFOs being in our hands. Especially, it's similar to what J.F. Kennedy was talking about. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And this is exactly the same way we have to look at these UFOs. Think not what this U.S. can do with these UFOs, but as a matter of fact, what these UFOs will do to U.S. Again, it's like injecting some sort of steroids into our evolution, and there will be some sort of evident side effects of some sort because somebody's tampering with our evolution, And we have to keep that in mind. Again, think not what US will do to those UFOs, but what those UFOs will do to US is the question here. And whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing, that is the question. But eventually it will start to show down the road, if it already hasn't, they've been in military's possession for what, 30-40 years, and who knows how much longer before that, before Bob, when Bob saw them in '89. So those are some of the questions that do come up. But here is another thing, especially with Diatlo Pass, the Russian story, and I talked about this before. I think it happened in 1959 or something. But what happened in that story, I decoded that story the best that I could with the vile evidence, okay, that really came from states and was actually the bridge between what really happened there, which this farmer in this video simply explains. So please check out Diatlo Pass and UFO Orbs Decoded video that I made if you're interested in what really happened there. But really, it's the first case of, and I'm not going to talk about it anymore, just check out the video. I certainly think that was decoded, in my opinion. But look, Bob Lazar could be just one of these guys on this planet. And as you know, there was quite few people in US history there that talked about having experience with this UFO phenomena, alien abductions. But the question is, to how many more people this has happened around the world? Like just recently I read about or go through this YouTube video regarding this Japanese UFO that they supposedly seen on the sea, and some lady came out of the UFO, and that's documented in Japanese history. So, and as you know, there's a lot of this, especially where was this? And I think in Calvin Parker or even Travis Walton's story, where there was a humanoid looking like a person that resembles humans, and even Calvin Parker talks about this in details, how he would ask her out. I mean, she looked like completely human. Ask her out for a drink. But what he meant is obviously as she looked like a human, although the other three creatures didn't look like it. They looked more like robots and nothing like humans. But so should we wonder if this Japanese story about this UFO on a sea is real or not? That some female came out of this UFO? Now it makes you think, right, what Calvin Parker's talking about. And these two guys have nothing to do with each other, okay? So they are some sort of humanoid, supposedly looking creatures. And it's not only their story. A lot of people talk about this extraterrestrials that don't really look like extraterrestrials. They look more like humans, So those are all the questions, how many more of the stories around the world are there that we don't even know about, So that is the question. Every country has its own. Ukraine, Russia, Japan, China. Everyone has its own story. Australia. Everyone has its own France. Everyone has its own story of UFO, some sort of UFO. England, okay. About what happened, some sort of experience that they had with these UFOs. So it's good to listen to all of the stories, because somebody out there, and I am quite for certain will decode this very soon, sooner or later, try to connect all the dots together, okay? Because in most cases, this could be the same extraterrestrials, just like in Bob Lazar, as I talked about it before, Barney and Betty Hill story about the Zeta Reticuli planet, okay? Ivan's channel 0135 talks about that on YouTube. It makes you wonder if this Zeta Reticuli star planet actually exists. And as you know, I talk about this Zeta Reticuli situation and Dennis Egglestone video. it's a phenomenal story that I just can't wrap my mind around, and could be the closest thing that I ever got to this Zeta Reticuli guys, that he received a message from, supposedly, and said that they were... See, this is the cool part. I said, Dennis received a message from Zeta Reticuli, which is 35 years, light years away. How is this even possible? Such telepathic abilities, such vast distance can actually be communicated to her. But he quickly corrected me, and he said, no, it wasn't from Zeta Reticuli. You see that? Those are the beautiful things that make you think twice about what this man is saying. He said, I receive it from somewhere around here. Could be Mars or Earth or something like that. If you're a UFO hunter or a truth hunter, that sounds something you would like to hear, right? Things line up properly. And that's why, like I said, Barney and Betty Hill talked about the Zeta Reticuli UFO, that this extraterrestrial were from that planet when they saw them on the middle of the road, and also the Zeta Reticuli comes up in Bob Lazar's story. He also mentions Zeta Reticuli. So the question is, are those Zeta Reticuli guys, according to Dennis Egglestone, him receiving the message from them, are they still here on this planet? Well, it could be, because that's what he's saying. He received this message, and I'm telling you, this the story of his or message from Zeta Reticuli is a like I said, to me, it belongs into like a movie theater. It's not your average story, and again, the fact that it's coming, from the back of the car, is that much mysterious to me, because that is the catchy, mind-boggling part here. I mean, the man is talking about something like, wow, that's all I can say, mind-boggling stuff, and it makes all sense to me that his story is very logical, kind of, but he's saying that he received it from Zeta Reticuli, and again, he corrected me. He said, no, it's not from Zeta Reticuli, it's from around here. And as I said, is that footage on Ivan's channel actually authentic then? Because he talks about Zeta Reticuli in there, okay? Ivan0135, check it out. It's a very mysterious channel. This guy just uploads these videos, and he never uploads anything else. All we know that he uploaded, I think, part 1 and part something 5, but where are the rest of the parts? I mean, there has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 6 and 7 or whatnot, but he only, I think, uploaded part 5 or something like that. I could be wrong, but they are missing tapes there. That's all I'm trying to say. But the question is, Barney, listen to this, Barney, under hypnosis, I believe, I think it was him, he talks about how these aliens wore black suits, or maybe it was Betty Hill. But anyways, one of those individuals talk about this, said that they were wearing black suits. Now, if you go to Ivan's channel 0135, and I'm not promoting it in any kind of way, it just, it's been there a long time ago, and meaning that, that I'm using it to kind of make the story authentic. No. It's been there way long time ago. I don't even it's been uploaded 2000 something. But anyways, you can see the date there. But what it's all about? It's basically that these aliens that are camcordered on a tape, as you can see in a video, they're actually wearing black suits, and Zeta Reticuli is being mentioned. Okay, that's the mind-boggling thing here that about this Dennis Egglestone. And for some UFO fanatics, I would imagine that, a lot of us would be interested in what this man will come up, if there will be any more telepathical messages. Okay, that's what I'm kind of waiting for, if there will be something that he will receive again. And again, he's got this tarot card ability of reading tarot cards. And as you know, tarot cards, you kind of have to see the future, what will happen to you, right? So, and as you know, we hear many times about this telepathy ability, okay? And that's what I'm so this whole thing sounds mind-boggling to me, because there are some facts to back it up, and that's why the story is somewhat very interesting to me, to say the least, for sure. So yeah, head out to Dennis Eggleston channel and check out this. I will leave it in the link below about Zeta Reticuli, and to see what the hell is going on. And also, there's another channel, I will leave the link below. It's Zeralath, I believe it's pronounced. Cool name, by the way. And this guy also hit me with some serious information, because he's got some connections to people who are supposedly colleagues of his that worked at Area 51. And he actually narrated a story, and the link is below, about Area 51 Chronicles. And you know, with that type of information, it's what we're looking for, because this person worked in Area 51, and Steve on that Zeralath channel has connection to Dr. Morton, as you know who he was. He was a psychic, and he also had his own radio show, and you know, he was definitely some personality in the past that I still need to look into. And until he got into some legal problems, which he kind of disappeared after that. But Steve on this channel, on Zeralath channel, is definitely interesting to me, because that's a friend of his. And the video that I'm gonna, and the video link that I'm going to leave below, is about this video he narrated, Steve narrated, and the story, I suppose, is from Dr. Morton, whatnot. And there's some deep information, because these people have some ties to Area 51, and if they do, then we just kind of have to imagine, what do they know, right? I certainly know that Steve is not telling me everything, but the type of information that he has, it just kind of not everybody has that type of information. And I'm rather upset that I wasn't able to see it when I was looking through his videos. And I got distracted by his Matrix videos, and I was looking actually for UFO videos of his, and believe it or not, there he pointed out to me, you know, I had to bring it to my nose, in front of my nose on a platter, tell me, hey, look, maybe you want to be interested in this. And when I went to check it out, it was definitely something I'm interested in myself, as a UFO, whatever you want to call it, enthusiast. But yeah, those two things you want to check out. So again, Dennis Eggleston, Zeta Reticuli story, and Steve's Zeralath channel, and both links below here, okay? So that's all I really want to go on talk about this. And again, you know, some of these channels, especially like with Zeralath, you know, it's like you see this cool icon, but you don't, you know, necessarily always go look inside these channels, those people that make comments on your channel, okay? Always check it out, because it's like some sort of universe out there. It's a totally different planet, like Zeralath's channel or Dennis Eggleston channel. It's, you know, once you go inside those channels, you know, I encourage you to check out not just these two channels, but other channels too, because you never know what's behind those icons. You know, people are putting some smart ass comments below, and you kind of makes you wonder, you know, how the heck are they coming up with this stuff? You know, it's like you know, it's definitely head to head with your comments and your opinions, and you're thinking, you know, these are some valuable information, if to say the least. But more than often, what we don't do is actually check some of these channels, what lies behind those channels. And like, again, like I said about Zeralath, Steve's channel, and Dennis Eggleston, that's exactly what happened in my case. You know, I didn't think of it much until I went inside and checked it out, and then there was a whole universe of stuff in there, you know, that I was to be uncovered, and still now is very interesting to me. You know, these are interesting individuals, and you might be one of them, you know. So I suggest to other people to check each other's channels out to see who is who here, okay? So anyways, thank you for staying with me all the way here. We could definitely still talk more about Bob Lazar, and thinks this man has changed the way we see extraterrestrials, really. Kudos to him, and really who should be the boss and who shouldn't be, and who should really get the credit, who shouldn't get the credit. Again, there's people with creativity, which is totally different perspective here than people with the actual experience with UFOs, and that's the topic really that I want to discuss here, that kind of bothers me sometimes, that some people with imagination get more credit than people who are actually been face to face with such reality, and it's really what the topic is here today. But that's how it goes, right? That's how the cookie crumbles. There's nothing you can do. Entertainment sometimes is just as important than truth, I guess. As you can see, I'm a Star Wars fan myself. So anyways, thank you very much for staying all the way here, and I make videos every second day, every third day, and hopefully there's something interesting to talk about that you might find interesting, and that's pretty much all for today. And again, if you like this video or this channel, you can give it a thumbs up or subscribe here at the bottom right. That would be much appreciated. Thank you very much, and I will please come back to see what's going on, okay? And keep your eyes in the sky in case you see a UFO fly by. Cheers.